Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Planning Commission meeting of September 4th, it's September 4th, right? Yep. 2024 will come to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Secretary will call roll.
Commissioner Tolson,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy, Commissioner Rice, Vice Chairperson Mayor,
Here.
Chairperson Mann.
Here. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I would like to make a motion to switch the public hearing items 1 and 2 and approve the agenda like that.
I'll second.
Oh, sure. Okay. I think we can just go by consensus to move the agenda around. Yes. So 11A1 will be heard second. 11A2 will be heard first. Hearing no objections, agenda is so changed. Approval of minutes, we have no minutes to approve. Declaration of conflict. The Secretary will read the declaration of conflict.
If any member of the Planning Commission may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration of any matter on this agenda, he or she should so declare at this time.
Are there any declarations of conflict? Public statements. This is the time allotted for public statements or comments on all items other than public hearing items. Is there anyone in the chamber wishing to be heard on anything other than 1A and 1B? Okay. Correspondence. Is there any correspondence for the Deputy Director, City Planner?
Yes, Chairman Mann, members of the Planning Commission, we have 2 supplemental staff reports for agenda item 11.A.2. They are provided to you here at your dais and available to the public at the counter outside.
No consent, no continued business. Public hearings. Let's switch to 1A2. Gotta get the right page in the script. This is the time and place set forth for public hearing on the consideration of SP-GPA-002/0024-000-2/Z-S-2024-0002. A recommendation to the City Council of approval of the Envision Simi Valley Specific Plan to create a community vision for the developmental areas of Los Angeles Avenue and Tapo Street, including the provision of new housing, commercial, and recreational opportunities. A general plan amendment to amend the land use and related general plan text. A zone map and developmental code amendment to update affected zoning maps and to remove the Tapo and LAPPO overlay districts, and the adoption of the mitigated negative declaration, M&D, and mitigation monitoring and reporting programs. That was a lot. Are there any ex parte communications to report? Hearing none, may we have an oral report on this matter by staff?
Good evening, Chairman Mann, members of the Planning Commission. We're going to have a presentation tonight by several people tonight. I'd like to introduce and acknowledge Gruen and Associates. We have with us tonight Larry Schlossberg, partner of Gruen Associates, and also Orlando Gonzalez, which will have part of the presentation. And also from ITER's principal engineer, Deepak Kaushik. And to start off tonight, we have Stratus Paris, Environmental Services Director, and followed by Principal Planner Nara Gunasekara.
Thank you, John. Good evening, Chairman Mann, Planning Commissioners. Very happy to be here tonight. This has been about 3 years in the making to bring the Envision Simi Valley specific plan to you. A lot of work and public outreach has gone into this. I wanted to start with this, the big picture. What is in the Envision Simi Valley specific plan, and why are we doing this? So a few years ago, the city received money from the state of California through what we call the Local Early Action Planning Grant Program, as well as Senate Bill 2. And with this money, it helped us fund the creation of this specific plan. And the overall goal is to help us achieve all the programs and goals that are identified in the recently adopted city's housing element. And so this specific plan is very much consistent with that recently adopted plan. The plan does many things, but I would say the top 4 is that this is an opportunity for economic investment along our commercial corridors. Some of these, primarily Tapo Street and Los Angeles Avenue. These commercial corridors are trying to do different things in the community and serve different businesses. And I think this specific plan goes a long way to helping encourage economic investment in these areas. It also promotes new housing. Consistent with our housing element, we're trying to encourage new housing along transit corridors, near shops, near services, and this plan is consistent with that goal. It also includes a mobility element, which is going to look at reimagining the public realm as far as transit or alternate transportation means, bicycles, as well as new parking areas. And so the whole public realm is also in play with this specific plan. And lastly, it also includes a component of objective design standards. And we've learned over the years, there's been several projects where if we had this tool in place, it would help the city more ably dictate the urban form. Again, to me, the Envision Simi Valley specific plan is like the 4th leg of a chair. We have the 2012 general plan. We have the housing element that was adopted in 2021. We have the Nadelson Dale Economic Strategic Plan that was adopted earlier this year. And this 4th document is consistent with all those 3 and will help further those goals. Also, over the years, the Planning Commission has approved several projects, including Tapo and Alamo, Santa Susana Plaza, the single-room occupancy projects, and we've learned a lot of things from those projects over the years, what's worked and what hasn't. And so some of the lessons learned have been adopted into this specific plan. So with that, I want to turn it over now to Senior Planner Narn Gunasekara to lead the staff presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. The project being heard tonight is the Envision Simi Specific Plan, which would create a community vision for the development of areas on LA Avenue and Tapo Street, including the provision of new housing, commercial, and recreational opportunities. There is an associated general plan amendment, zone change, and zone text amendment, and adoption of the project's mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring program. A specific plan fine-tunes general plan policies and development codes and tailors them for a specific area for a specific purpose. The city has 17 specific plans, as you can see in this map. These cover residential areas such as the Ronco Canyon specific plan, commercial and industrial areas such as the Simi Valley Town Center, and West End specific plans, a commercial resort specific plan for the Hummingbird Nest Ranch, and one covering the Arroyo Simi. I am now going to hand over the presentation to Orlando Gonzalez from Gruen Associates, the consultant the city hired to assist in preparing the specific plan, to give you an overview of how the plan is prepared.
Good evening, Commissioners and Chairman. Just want to talk briefly about our firm, as the lead, Gruen Associates, and our sub-consultant team. We've been working together many years, and we've been located in Los Angeles and Southern California for over 7 decades. We are an integrated practice, meaning we integrate both urban design, architecture, planning, and landscape architecture. And over the years, we've done extensive work on various types of planning, from visioning, specific plans, mixed-use, transit-oriented developments, streetscape design, and guidelines and standards as well. And as you can see some of the images, just to give you a brief understanding of the types of work from the imagery there. North Paramount specific plan, something we did recently for the city of Paramount that was dealing with a lot of similar issues as Simi Valley in terms of, the low density character and scale of the neighborhoods there, and how to transition the neighborhoods into a bit of more urban and mixed use context. As well as on the other side of the scale, we've done work for City of LA to provide them with standards and guidelines on how to create the urban form around station areas. And also streetscape design, as you see the built environment there, the last image on the left in Temple City for bikeways. Next, thank you. Our subconsultant team, who we've been working with for many, many years, included Terry Hayes and Associates, who actually started his career with Gruen Associates long ago, and has been doing environmental documentation throughout Southern California for many years. Iteris Deepak, who's here with us today, also very involved in Southern California and with Simi Valley, and they've done a lot of work for the city of Simi Valley for their traffic impact fee program and traffic analysis model. KPFF and Land Econ Group, they've also been with us for many years and very skilled in terms of doing work on a larger planning scale as opposed to just a building scale. And Land Econ Group, who helped us do the feasibility study and economic impact report for this specific plan, was able to give us a good understanding of what can be realistic for years to come here in Simi Valley. Thank you. Next. So now a little bit about the planning process. For the Envision Valley, Simi Valley planning process, first there was an understanding of what the approach is. What should the approach be? What should that messaging be? And it was all based off what the city's goals are per the implementation of the SB2 and the LEAP grants program, which the city received. And that is to have that opportunity to accelerate housing and increase the housing stock. And the way we went about that, of course, is to create specific plans for two different areas in Simi Valley, identified in the general plan for infill development, the Los Angeles Avenue corridor area, the Topple Street area, and area around the Metrolink station were some of the focus areas. And of course, in the end, with the help of CEQA documentation to help streamline that approval process. And so how were these objectives accomplished? Number one, we defined a concise vision, a specific vision, goals and objectives tailored for the Los Angeles and Topple Street areas, built upon existing data and resources to establish existing conditions. So we have to obviously understand what's on the ground today, and developed a focused land use and urban design strategy. Again, what are those special and unique features of Simi Valley that we need to respond to? Responding to economic development objectives and understanding of what works and what doesn't work economically for the city of Simi Valley, and how does that, again, respond to the unique features that Simi Valley has. Creating clear, measurable, objective design and development standards, and that to help, again, with clear, measurable standards, it's easier to get approval for during the ministerial process for building development. And how do you then go from that to developing an effective branding? So then we have to take all that and clearly message that to the community, to city staff, for buy-in. And this plan would not happen without complete buy-in by the community at large. And so branding was a big part of it, and in turn as well, a comprehensive community outreach program. Again, not only to city staff, but stakeholders, the business community, and the residents of Simi Valley. And lastly, to prepare that CEQA document that would help in streamlining future projects for the project's objectives. And lastly, in the planning process, some of the specifics in terms of how this project was structured in a few components. Number one, project initiation and management. We were always meeting with the city staff on a monthly basis, and and as needed, even on a biweekly basis, on a weekly basis as needed, to ensure that everybody was always on the same page in terms of what are the issues, and also to ensure that we are responding to not only city staff but the community. And that then goes through the outreach program. What was involved in the outreach program? A steering committee made up of the various departments of the city, pop-up events, going out to the community to various events, such as National Night Out, community engagement events to a few. We went to a number of closed pop-up events as more open door events like festivals and whatnot, and community engagement events were more indoor, like at the library, or we went to Sinaloa Middle School to give a presentation in the evening. And those are all engagement events where the folks can come and give us feedback on what the current concepts at that time were, and give us a better understanding of what needs to be fixed, what needs to be adjusted, and what are their needs. And with the help of city staff who helped facilitate the neighborhood council meetings, there were a number of those. And lastly, we went to the Chamber of Commerce. We went to a breakfast event to engage the business community, give a brief presentation, and take their comments as well. And as for the technical work, the specific plan itself, we developed a number of deliverables, including an existing conditions report. What are the opportunities and constraints once we went out to the community and understood what the issues are from city staff, and then giving a first look in terms of concepts and alternatives analysis. So what are the possibilities at a high level? What could be conceptually designed in form and in standards and so forth? And so that was a deliverable that was given early on in the process as a test fit. And from that test fit, the plan components, mobility, infrastructure, economic, the design standards, land use, those are all the plan components within the policy framework that were then developed after the concepts. And lastly, where we're at now, the draft specific plan and the hearings, to get any final feedback from you all, from the community, as to what needs to, what else can we do to, put the ribbon on it and make sure that we've heard you all loud and clear, and nothing else needs to be done to make sure that everybody is happy that this responds to the community at large. And lastly, the economic development strategy tied into the implementation plan component of the specific plan, and the CEQA document that was recently completed as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Orlando. Envision Simi is the evolution of previous city efforts to achieve pedestrian-oriented development through the renovation of the business districts on LA Avenue and Tapo Street. It is an effort to provide current housing needs for the workforce and the next generation, and to revitalize our stagnant shopping centers to raise revenue to pay for services such as street maintenance and improving Simi's livability. As you can see from the images on the right, LA Avenue has seen a lot of change in the 40 years between 1970 and 2010. Envision Simi is a long-term policy document to allow the city's development framework to adapt to the future over the next 30 or so years. This pie chart shows the proportions of the different land uses in the city. The mixed-use areas of the Envision Simi specific plan cover around 277 acres, which is around 1% of the entire city, and is the small yellow sliver you can see on the top on the left-hand side. As you can see, the majority of the city, especially the open space areas and the single-family neighborhoods, will not be changed by the specific plan. Envision Simi, however, does cover 30% of the city's commercial areas. And these commercial areas are in trouble. This chart illustrates shopping center vacancies from 2006 to today. The vacancy rates today are higher than during the Great Recession, as online shopping has changed the retail market. Envision Simi is an attempt to kickstart the city's economic engine across the 1% of the city's area, while protecting the 70% of the city that is open space and single-family uses. Economic activity in these areas has to generate enough revenue for the city to maintain our infrastructure. The specific plan has 10 overarching goals as shown here. While these are all important and interact to create the vision, Arguably, the three most important goals, especially in the short term, are to incentivize the production of housing, given the housing shortage and cost in the city, improving the streetscapes, and creating recreation opportunities to promote active street frontages. These goals are key in providing a catalyst for economic activity. Moving on to the specifics of the plan, you can see the 5 different zones proposed here in the 2 areas, with the Tapo Street area on the left and the LA Avenue area on the right. The Tapo Street area is split into 3 subzones: the Tapo Mixed Use, the Tapo Cadota Fig, and Tapo Business Village zones. The LA Avenue area has only 2 subzones: the Downtown Mixed Use and the Downtown Corridor area. Each subzone has different uses, goals, and development standards to control urban form. The next few slides will discuss these areas in more detail. The Tapo Street areas between Cochrane and LA Avenue, the Tapo Mixed Use subzone, has opportunity areas that were identified in the housing element. These are areas identified as having the most potential for change in the future, especially with provision of housing needs. These areas are more suited for vertical mixed use as there are larger lots and shopping centers in these areas. The maximum density in this subzone with community benefit bonuses would be 55 units per acre. The Santa Susana mixed-use project, which has already been approved, is in this area, as is the Tapo District Loft single-room occupancy project shown here on the left. Some of the potential areas for redevelopment include the Charleston Square area and the vacant lot north of Cochrane, as shown. Other parts of the area shown in the plan, such as the commercial office zone areas between Cochrane and Alamo Street, have remained unchanged and largely underutilized despite having a commercial office zone. These areas are more suited for horizontal mixed use with smaller lots. The maximum density with community benefit bonuses would be 45 units per acre. The LA Avenue areas between First and Erringer have opportunity areas identified in the housing element as well. These are designated downtown mixed use in the specific plan. Again, there are a number of potential redevelopment sites, such as the vacant movie theater and large surface parking lots as shown in this image. The maximum density in this area with a community benefit bonus would be 55 units per acre. The downtown corridor subzone in the specific plan, south of LA Avenue, consists of smaller lots that would be more suitable to be redeveloped as horizontal mixed use given the opportunity. The maximum density with community benefit bonuses would be 45 units per acre in this area. The specific plan incentivizes developers to incorporate project components that the city has deemed beneficial to the community in exchange for additional density. Examples of these bonuses include extended setbacks for outdoor dining, shared parking, vehicle access, and investment in public transit. And in exchange, density can be increased from the maximum 35 units per acre to 45 or 55 units per acre depending on the subzone. The land uses in the specific plan are geared towards allowing the development of a vibrant street frontage with restaurants, indoor entertainment, fitness facilities, art galleries, and service-based businesses such as hairdressers and grocery stores. The specific plan encourages these uses by allowing some of them as permitted uses where they previously were conditional uses, reducing the parking requirements for some of them, and allowing for more flexible shared parking agreements. For example, the parking for restaurants citywide is 1 space per 125 square feet, while within the specific plan, it will be 1 space per 300 square feet. A key part of the specific plan is the development of objective design standards. These standards, enforced in the specific plan areas, will form the basis for citywide objective standards that will be rolled out shortly. Several state laws, such as SB 35 and SB 330, prevent local jurisdictions from denying residential projects based on subjective guidelines and limits the city's ability to control design. These objective standards will give the city local control and a flexible toolbox with regard to the architectural design and urban form that we want to see. You can see the example of a subjective versus an objective standard here. On the left, we have the requirement for a building to have vertical articulation to reduce massing. On the right is an objective standard from the specific plan. Stories above the first floor along LA Avenue must be stepped back a minimum of 5 feet over 50% of the facade. This adds clear numbers and objectivity to the articulation requirement on the left. The next few slides will illustrate some examples of the type of architecture that we hope to see with the specific plan. Full details on the objective standards can be found in Chapter 3 of the specific plan. Note that these standards are not set in stone, and we expect them to evolve over the years as circumstances change. Protecting existing neighborhoods is an important component of the specific plan's development standards. This is achieved through a transitional height adjacent to residential zones. Development adjacent to existing single-family residential will be limited to 30 feet at a 10-foot setback, and will need to step back at a 45-degree angle to the maximum height in that zone to avoid massing next to the property line. This is an example of what we would expect with a lower height adjacent to residential on the left and step back to the maximum height on the right. The specific plan has a variety of design requirements to create interesting buildings and active street frontages. This is an example of the desired outcome of the design standards, with enhanced setbacks along the streets for outdoor dining areas and step backs between the building stories to create vertical articulation. There is also a menu of design features such as corner balconies and other design elements to create interest. All these design requirements will come together to create an interesting four-sided building facade with a form that is sensitive to surrounding land uses. Another aspect of the specific plan is how people move around the areas. The mobility chapter. The approach taken with this is called complete streets. That is, streets not only for cars, but for a wide range of users to use them in various ways. There are long-term and short-term approaches laid out in the specific plan for these areas. An example shown here is from LA Avenue, where in the short term, a lane is replaced with bike lanes, highlighted in yellow above, which are with striped buffers to protect the bike lanes from traffic. Over the long term, more physical changes to the streets would allow parking on one side, as you can see on the green, highlighted in the green on the left, and a multi-use path on the other side, highlighted in purple. It is important to note that even the short-term option is realistically a number of years in the future, as funding is required for these efforts. Looking at the big picture, an economic study prepared for the specific plan indicated that we may see a net increase of 1,050 residential units and 75,000 square feet of retail restaurant over 20 years. At a conservative estimate, this would provide close to $4 million for the city's general fund over the next 20 years, plus additional tax revenue to help the city provide essential services. There would be a regional economic benefit of close to $200 million. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council the approval of the envisioned Simi Valley specific plan, the associated general plan amendment, zone text and zone map amendments, and the adoption of the project's MND and MMRP. This concludes staff presentation, and we are available for questions. Thank you.
Don't have to look very far, easy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public testimony portion of the hearing. Is there anyone in the chamber wishing to be heard on this matter? Do we have any cards? Okay. Nobody wants to say anything? We're easy. Okay, so we have no, staff does not need to report or answer back to public comments. Assuming that none of the council member or planning commissioners have come up with any questions? I'm sorry? You do or don't? Okay, good. Then I'm going to go ahead and, hey, how come that's not on my script? Questions? Okay, I'm going to close the public testimony portion of the hearing. Just double checking to make sure I have no other questions. Okay. May I please have a reading of the resolution? Sorry, go ahead, it's not a question. You have a comment, sorry,
I
my
have
bad.
a comment.
My
I have
bad.
a comment. I do want to thank staff for the wonderful job that you did. I like modern design. I really appreciate all of the hard work that you guys were doing. I do want to say that nowhere in this presentation was acknowledged that there's a historical value to the Tapo Street. And I would like to see something in the future when the different projects develop, that's something that is going to appreciate and acknowledge the history of that area, because we all know that all of that area has had picking sheds, loading docks, and all of that stuff that made CME what CME is today. And I would like to see projects in the future that would in some way incorporate history with the new and modern and the growth of the city the way we want it. And that's what I wanted to say. I do want to say that I appreciate any effort to bring more business, more revenue, everything to the city and more residents. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Commissioner Tolson?
You bet. Just a couple things. Fantastic work both on the city and the consultants over these last couple of years in terms of getting public feedback and buy-in, and the work that's been done here is fantastic. And I like the ideas of the complete streets in certain areas, not all over town, but in these two districts. I like the objective design standards that'll be consistent across the those two areas. So I'm thankful very much for your time and efforts.
Okay, so I'll talk. I've lived in Simi since I was 5 years old. Tapo Street was a bustling place, as was I knew it as Larwin Square down on LA Avenue, and then it became Mountain Gate Plaza. And I've seen a whole lot of different things in there. So it's a great thing to see redevelopment happening in those two areas, because to be honest, both those areas really need a lot of major help and support for getting redevelopment. So kudos for the amount of work that was done. Going through here is kind of like going through history, looking at some of the photos and some of the information, data, and the charts. So great job for the staff and, of course, all the consultants. Okay. With that said, may I please have a reading of the resolution?
Resolution number SVPC 10-2024. A resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Simi Valley recommending that the City Council adopt the Envision Simi Valley Specific Plan, SP-S-2024-0002. Amend the General Plan, GPA-2024-0002, to change the land use map and the mobility and infrastructure elements to accommodate this specific plan. Amend the zone map in Simi Valley Municipal Code, Z-S-2024-0002, to remove the TAPO and LAAPO overlay zoning districts. Amend the zoning map to identify areas located within the specific plan, and adopt the Mitigated Negative Declaration, MND, and Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program for the project.
Thank you. The chair will now entertain a motion.
If I knew where to
I
find
can
the,
do it.
go ahead.
I move to adopt a resolution recommending approval of SB-S-2024-002, GPA-2024-0002, and Z-S-2024-0002.
A motion is made by Commissioner Mayer. May I have a second?
Second.
Second was made by Commissioner Tolson. Call for the vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Great job to one and all. Oh, sorry. There's no appeal period for SP, thanks, Sean. SP-S-2024-002/GPA-2024-002/S-2024-0002. And the items will proceed to the City Council with the Planning Commission's recommendation. Proceed to the next item. Okay, thank you again. Got it. Now we're back on track for the first one, which was now the second. This is a time and place set for the public hearing on the consideration of PD-S-2024-004 and TT-2024-0002, and the determination that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Are there any ex parte communications to report? May we have an oral report on this matter by staff?
Yes, Chairman Mann, members of the Planning Commission. Tonight's presentation for this item will be by our Associate Planner, Neil Morissette. Go ahead, Neil.
Good evening, Planning. Tonight, we will be reviewing a request for a plan development permit modification and a new tentative map for the previously approved 16-unit Stowe Villas project. The modification will include revisions to the building elevations, site plan, and landscaping. A new tentative map will replace the previously expired map and release the Affordable Housing Agreement. The release of the Affordable Housing Agreement will be considered by the City Council along with final consideration of the plan development permit modification and tentative map. The project is located on Los Angeles Avenue at the southwest corner of Los Angeles Avenue and Stowe Street. The 1.35-acre site is currently under construction and is surrounded by existing single-family and multifamily residential development. The history of the project is as follows. In 2007, the City Council approved the project authorizing the construction of a 16-unit condominium complex. In 2010, the plan development permit and tentative map expiration date was automatically extended 7 years pursuant to state law. In 2017, an administrative time extension was approved, allowing 3 additional years to record the final map and commence construction, extending the project to 2020. In 2019, construction of the project began, which inaugurated the project and kept the planned development permit from expiring. In 2020, the final map had still not been recorded and therefore expired. In 2024, a modification to the planned development permit and a new tentative map were submitted in hopes to finally completing the project. This is a view of the site from Los Angeles Avenue looking south. The project is now closer to completion, with a majority of the construction having been completed, including the construction of all 16 units. All that remains is construction of the trash enclosure, installation of landscaping, paving, asphalt, and some other site improvements. The approved project is accessed by driveways on both Los Angeles Avenue and Stowe Street. A total of 53 parking spaces are provided, including 32 garage spaces and 21 uncovered guest spaces. There are a total of 4 buildings, each containing 4 two-story townhomes with 3 bedrooms. The proposed plan development permit modification will alter the approved site plan with the following changes. The removal of a meandering walkway along Los Angeles Avenue. Access will still be provided by the existing sidewalk. The removal of decorative concrete on parking lot and driveway entrances to be replaced with asphalt, and the patio areas to be replaced with concrete. The hardscape of the patios on the northernmost units will be altered to accommodate for additional landscaping square footage. Additional landscape changes will include increased tree sizes and new tree locations to be clarified on the final landscape plans. The additional landscaping and increased tree sizes are required due to the removal of the affordable housing incentives. This slide shows the proposed site plan with all modifications. The existing sidewalk is to be used instead of the meandering path as shown in yellow. The approved townhome buildings are designed in a Mediterranean style with clay S-tile roofs, decorative wrought iron balcony railings, and archway details. They also include stucco walls with stone veneer treatments. The modification proposes to eliminate the veneer treatments and replace them with matching stucco. The approved project consists of decorative precast planters affixed to the wall adjacent to the garages. The modification proposes to relocate these onto the ground. The original project included 3 affordable units, requiring the project to only comply with 7 optional standards. The project must now comply with 11 optional standards. The optional standards added are variable setbacks, enriched landscaping, consistency with the surrounding uses, and personal security devices. The project is categorically exempt from CEQA as a Class 32 infill development project and is exempt from additional environmental review. Staff recommends the Planning Commission make a recommendation of approval to the City Council of the Plan Development Permit and tentative map, and a determination the project is categorically exempt from CEQA. This concludes staff's presentation, and we are available for questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of staff? Commissioner Tolson?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
He was the first to key in.
Just to clarify, on the, it shows pictures of the stone veneer. Is that stone veneer there now?
Currently, the stone veneer hasn't been added. The proposed modification will just continue that they won't add that now. So currently, the buildings don't have it.
Got it. Secondly is, it says relocation of the decorative planters. Are those there now?
From my understanding, those are not there currently.
Okay. And the removal of decorative concrete, is that in place now?
I have another slide that I'll show. This shows an aerial of the existing site. So as shown, all of the site improvements are not currently there. So any of the asphalt, any of the decorative concrete, any of that is currently not installed.
When was this picture taken? Because I was there today and saw some sidewalks.
Some sidewalks outside
Yeah.
of the property.
Yeah.
So this picture is just based off of Google. It's recent. I can't verify exactly when it was taken.
The sidewalk's there. The city sidewalk,
No,
the very top.
inside inside the project, there's on the far west side, there are some driveways walkways and stuff. And then there's also some forms for cement planters / landscaping.
We'll defer to the applicant to answer any of those questions.
Thank you. It says revisions of building elevations. The buildings are there. Are we going to raise them or lower them?
No, there's not going to be any change to the height or anything. The elevation changes refers back to changing the stone veneer to stucco and changing the planters to
The verbiage of
the verbiage of elevation is used.
building elevations is kind of wrong. Anyway, that's it for me.
Commissioner Mayor?
What is the condition of the existing sidewalk that is going to be used instead of the one that was originally in the project that was approved?
Can't touch to the condition of the existing sidewalk.
Is it more like concrete or dirt, or because on the other side of LA there's a lot of dirt? There's no actual sidewalks.
If I refer back to the existing conditions picture that we have, I would say that the sidewalks are maintained. I wouldn't say that they're under maintained or underutilized at all.
Thank you.
Okay, other than a cost factor, the removal of decorative concrete on walkways, patio areas, parking lot, and parking driveway entrances. We deal with four-sided architecture and decorative. By them removing those items, that's not a condition of the project from the very beginning?
To understand your question, you're saying that removal of some of those elements.
Well, they want to remove those elements.
Correct.
That was a condition from the start, that those elements were supposed to be there.
That was the design originally. They're requesting to remove those.
Okay.
Okay, so that's up for discussion, and the applicant could further explain the purpose of the request.
Okay, I'll defer that to the applicant. And just to be clear, we are not doing anything with the affordable housing agreement. That's purely under the purview of the city council, correct?
That's a council action on the affordable housing.
Okay. That's it for me. Okay, if we have no other questions, I'm going to open the public testimony portion of the hearing. Would the applicant like to present the project? Please come forward.
My name is Nader Faraji. I'm representing Stowe Villa LLC, the applicant for the proposed modification. I want to begin by acknowledging the concern about the extended timeline for this project. The development of the 16 units condo project has indeed took a long time to be finished, and it's not finished yet, but the process took a lot of setback, a lot of difficulties that we never expected. We started 2019, we had the COVID. At that time, no employees, no labor, no material available at that time, and everybody was closed. The material took a long time to bring. After that, even in 2021, 2022, the prices skyrocketed for material and labor, so the whole process took a lot of money, and the budget went up so high on this, the unexpected stuff that came in. So despite all this, we tried to finish this project, and we are proposing modification because it's more cost effective, but we are enhancing the landscape and adjusting the site and improving the project appeal and functionality. Today, we're respectfully asking you to support and approve the plan develop permit modification for the tentative map, and the approval will allow us to move forward and to try to finish quicker and faster. Because the project, like I said, it took over, the budget went up, I would say 300% for the COVID, and we had also another problem, the JC we had, the general contractor has also some unforeseen illness. He had cancer, we had to quit, and we had to look for another person to take over, and that was very hard and difficult to get somebody else to complete the business. So we are asking again for your help in this to approve the plan development permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Hang on a minute, if you could please stay up there. Yeah, come back. Are there any questions of the applicant? Yes. Please, Commissioner Tolson.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming tonight. Couple questions. I was there today, and there was employees there doing work. What kind of work are they doing today?
They were doing some electric work underground, and we're doing the underground for the sprinkler system. And we're preparing for the putting the trees and the landscaping.
Beautiful. And then, that's it for me.
Okay, Commissioner. Okay, so back to my question. Removal of decorative concrete on walkways, patio areas, parking lot, and parking driveway entrances. I'm assuming you want to remove the decorative stamped concrete for financial considerations, or is there another reason?
Yes, for financial consideration, yes.
Under the optional standards, page 5, the table 4, the standard is incorporate variable setbacks, curving streets, special concrete treatments, i.e. stamped concrete and special roof treatments. Being provided is all buildings have variable setbacks from property lines, so there's nothing about any kind of stamped concrete or special concrete treatments because you're asking for all of them to be eliminated, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Item 2I, enrich landscaping and parkways and green belts throughout the site. We have the project, that's the standard, provided is the project incorporated enriched landscaping along LA Avenue. So are you changing or removing landscaping in the project itself and just moving it forward? Or is there a change in the landscaping plan? To the
The
best,
landscaping plan, because of, I believe, I'm not sure, because of the modification for the affordable housing, the city is asking for increasing the trees and enhancing the landscaping. And that's what we did.
okay.
That's also what we are doing.
That's it for me.
I do have a question.
Please, Commissioner Mayor.
Yes, so the stamped concrete, what are you replacing it with?
Regular concrete.
So what is the cost difference in that?
Oh, I don't know exactly, but it's a big difference in price since the area is big.
Okay, thank you.
Please. Oh, you're even here in the queue.
It's okay. I mentioned earlier that I drove by today and I saw some sidewalks on the far west side of the project, inside the perimeters of your fencing. Is that, I mean, how does that change compared to what was supposed to be there? How recent were those put in?
These were recently, just within the last 30 or 40 days we've done.
Okay.
And that's by the plans. That, I don't think that was changed.
Okay, that's one.
That was the original plans.
Perfect, okay. That was it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the, oh, sorry. Is there anyone in the chamber wishing to be heard on this matter? By all means, come forward. You could hand your card. Thank you. If you could state your name and go ahead.
And indeed, this place has taken forever. It has caused tremendous problems for the people that live around. You know, the construction, I mean, you see them building, but they don't mention the fact that they have dig constantly they forgot a pipe to put, they forgot this. The foundation shows, so, I mean, I'm not an architect or anything like that, but you can see that every time they dig, the buildings seem to move, so the foundation is in one area and the building is in another one. You know, they dig so many times that they cause the dividing wall between the Woodside apartment, which is right beside, to collapse. And so it just kind of makes you wonder, you know, the kind of people that they hire to do this kind of work and how secure these buildings are going to be for the people that decide to purchase them. And it's just a concern for everybody that lives around there. So I don't know how they want to respond.
You've been great. Thank you very much for your time. Is there anyone else in the chamber wishing to be heard? By all means, please. If you could at some point fill out a card and, oh, it's the applicant. Oh, makes it easy.
I'm assisting the applicant on this matter. Good evening, Chairperson. Good evening, planning commissions and planning members. Good evening for the public. My name is Suraj. I'm a civil engineer by major and general contractor. I have been involved in this project recently, and I would like to elaborate a little bit on the improvement that's been happening. That is correct. We have had a wall that fell adjacent to the neighbor on Los Angeles Street, and then we had it designed by a civil engineer, and we had it repaired. On the other adjacent wall, to the backside on Stowe Street, the longer wall, we had underpin it. What that means, we had dug all along the improvement of the job site, and then we had put rebars in it, and then we had poured concrete slab to make sure the added dirt will not make this wall fall. It is actually a retaining wall. It's been designed. We have the stamped design drawings that we felt. We had that inspected, and then I can assure you from my experience that that wall will not go anywhere. Along for the building, yes, we did dig a little bit on the foundation because we had done a lot of work that had to go before the paving. We proposed to pave everything instead of having stamped concrete for two major reasons. One of them is financial, and the other one is for maintenance. If you drive by any intersection, you see that wherever you have concrete adjacent to asphalt, sure, with time, this will start peeling off. You start seeing potholes, you start seeing cracks. So we propose to have the entire site inside the property to be converted for just asphalt. And to answer your question about the work that was being done, the owner forgot to mention that we're installing some gutters in the meantime. And yes, we are working with a landscaper on the irrigation system, and we're working on the exterior lighting. All the conduits are being run right now, and we're trying to pave the asphalt at our next step in the project. We are collecting bits on it, and then we have to also comply with some of the public works improvement that we have to do along Stowe Street because the project have done some damage in that area. For the sidewalks, we are putting sidewalks that are just inside the property, the meandering sidewalks. We eliminated a little bit of these because, as the owner mentioned, some of this falls within the area that we have to improve for the parkway area that should have comply with a minimum percentage. I believe the number was around 9,000 square feet. We eliminated just a few of these, but we still have majority of the original design in place. And the planters that we propose to change them, then lower them to the ground. It's just more aesthetic and more for maintenance purpose. We are eliminating some of the stone veneer for financial purposes, to reiterate on it. We're keeping most of it for the trash enclosure. We are trying to maintain it. And as you saw today, a bunch of small CMU walls. These are for patio enclosures. We went over the original design with Sean Gibson and Neil over here, and we are maintaining the original design and privacy for all the people inside the property. And deviating from the stamped concrete for the patio area, we are proposing just regular concrete from our experience, some tenants have the tendency to dig it out if they want to add a plant in their backyard. We'd like to give them some leeway, and we don't want to put something overly designed and expensive on our end for somebody to come and tear it apart. If you have any additional questions, I would love to answer them, and I look forward to working with the Planning Commission to bring this project to an end. We have covered a lot of ground in the past few months, and we're trying to be as attending to the neighbors. We are listening to the issues they have, and then as they are trying to wrap it up, we are trying to wrap it up and to bring the project to an end. Any questions for me? I would love to answer them.
Any commissioners have any questions? I do. By all means.
Just, crystal ball, if we go through and move forward today, the neighbors really want to know how soon. The sign there that says new townhomes, that was probably 6 years ago. It's now on the side, and I'm glad it's not Reed's new townhomes because it's been a long time. What's the finish line?
I will answer you as direct as I can. Our targeted date is by the end of this year. This Thursday, I'm having a meeting, actually tomorrow at 7:30, with Edison to release the power that we met all the conditions. We had to repair some damaged pipes on the exterior. So by that being said, the city inspector is confident that the building is safe for releasing it for electricity. For asphalt, we had a fallout of the last contractor. But as of today, we have 5 bids on asphalt, and our promise date for them to finish all the underground utilities and all the underground water is by the end of September. So by that being said, you should have a clean site and paved site by mid of October, the latest. They need 5 days, 1 day to lay the base, 1 day to do the asphalt, and then we have some exterior work on Stowe Street. As we said, we need to grind some asphalt 2 inches and repair it. That should take another day, and to stripe it another day. So I worked very closely on the schedule. We're looking to bring the plants in the next few days because that has to go in sequence. That has to be installed because, as you know, some of the trees are big. You need a forklift. You don't want to damage the future asphalt. By that being said, we are very close to the finish. I'm talking about 4 months extended time. Everything should flow as it's flowing with the current progress of the project. You should have very close end of the project by Thanksgiving time, say mid of November to late November. Any other questions?
Again, you don't have to answer this. Guesstimate, because they're all the same size, 3 bedrooms, retail sale price. If you first of all,
I think
you don't have to answer.
roughly the owner,
675, around 675.
because as we mentioned, the original bid price for the project, what was bidded with the original contractor, was not feasible to sell at this current market with the increase of the price of the material itself, of the labor went up, and we're trying to cut as much as we can to meet end needs to bring this project to an end. Absolutely. Other questions by any chance?
Nope.
All right, thank you.
And I do have your card already, I believe.
All right,
So thank you very much for that. Is there anybody else in the chamber that wishing to be heard? Okay. Are there any comments from staff regarding statements made during the public hearing?
Yeah, Chairman Mann, members of the commission, in response to the resident who spoke earlier, I would encourage her to reach out to Neil or myself to follow up on any concern she has with the construction. We could connect her to either the Building Safety Division or Public Works to figure out if there were issues with the construction that affect these people's properties that have not already been resolved. I know it's been many months, many years since this was originally approved to when construction started. But if there's still current things going on which should be looked at, staff would need to know. We won't be able to answer them here in the room, but you can reach out to us to address, try to address any of issues that remain. And we could reach out to the contractor to try to get those resolved and get that to the finish line. In regards to the process, first, the project still has to go to City Council, so that would have to be scheduled to approve the final changes and also dispose of the affordable housing agreements. So that would have to be scheduled. And this involves a tentative map. So although when the applicant says the construction will be completed potentially by December, November, December, some of that's at risk depending on the council decision on the material changes or the landscape changes. But he does have permits to do that currently. But these things are held in abeyance with tonight's actions on the specific items. He's doing that at risk. We cannot gain occupancy to the building until the tentative map is recorded into a final map so they could legally sell the lot. So it may be a finished building, but they can't legally sell the units until the final map's recorded. So it may take into the after December to literally sell the units and gain occupancy. And Neil, did you have anything else?
I was just going to touch on those comments as well, just with the construction. The expediting of this project helps finish this construction. And then the other aspect of it was that the Building and Safety Department is the key to making sure that these are built safely. And so the inspectors would do those final inspections prior to anybody occupying it.
Okay, I believe the applicant's already responded to any comments regarding public statements, but does the applicant have anything further to state regarding any statements from the public or from the commission? Okay. If there's nobody else in chambers and no further questions, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. Are there any comments or questions from members of the Planning Commission? Commissioner Mayer.
Yes, thank you. I would like to say I have a couple of concerns here. My first concern is the fact that we are removing this from RENA. I know it's not maybe a discussion for us, but it is something that concerns me. My other concerns are that I do feel for the developer and I do feel for all of their struggles. However, I also feel for and we're here to also represent the people of Simi Valley. And I feel like I don't want the project to be necessarily cheapened and lose character of Simi Valley just because we want to get it over with. I believe that we need to draw the line where we're going to just let the developers, because of their own struggles and because of their own decision-making, just proceed with the project. So what I would like to see, in my opinion, that people in Simi Valley deserve better than this, better than stucco, better than no stone or whatever the original design was. And I would like to give the opportunity not to deny necessarily the project, but to go back to the drawing board and maybe with staff find some other ways to save money, but also keep some of the character that people could enjoy and that would beautify the community and still stay within some design concept that we like to see in Simi Valley. That's my comment.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Commissioner Tolson?
Turn something on here. I think we should help with the community to get this thing done as quickly as possible. However, I do think the decorative stone veneer should remain. If you take it off the trash containers and put it back on the house, I think that's okay. You know, if it's stucco on a trash enclosure, I think we're okay with that, in my opinion. The precast plaster decorative planters, you know, significance with a pot in front of the building, I think is fine. So it's a yes on that one. The paving, stamped versus just asphalt or cement, in my opinion, either one is fine. But I'm going to hold to the decorative stone veneers, in my opinion.
Okay, arena numbers aside, I'd like to see the affordable housing agreement stay, but I understand it's not going to really affect our arena numbers from what I read in the staff report. As far as the changes and considerations, I'm a little bit off from you. I would rather see the stamped concrete, or at least a ribbon or a border remain at the approaches into the development. Somebody driving by the street, that's what they're going to see. They're not necessarily going to see on the front of the buildings because of the way the buildings are. You only see the front of the buildings from a certain point. I think you'll see more of the driveway approaches. Trash enclosures, I mean, bottom line is those are going to be seen by somebody in the development. I think we can come up with some kind of happy compromise, and I'm even willing to let staff come up with that. Not removing all the decorative elements. The walkways, I'm okay with, because to me, that's inside the complex. The patio areas, once the walls are built, nobody's going to see them. So whether it's just normal concrete or stamped concrete, I don't think that's a real big deal. But the parking way or the parking driveway entrances, just something a little bit richer than just asphalt up against the existing city sidewalk, since we're getting rid of some of the meandering stuff. Again, since I don't think you're going to see much of the stone facade from the front, that doesn't bother me to lose that part, certainly to help the developer and try and come up with some cost-cutting ways of doing something. I'll be honest, whether you hang the planter on the wall or whether you put a pot on it makes no difference to me. To me, whatever you put in that, short of something that is going to be cactus or silk flowers, it's going to die anyways, and/or it's going to become more of an eyesore than anything else, you could lose those altogether. It wouldn't affect me whatsoever. It's great in theory. Practicality, yeah, it's not really going to serve a whole practical purpose. Not to mention, I know those things are incredibly costly and expensive. So I'd like to see the project done. Obviously, I've lived in Simi, as I said, my entire life. That has been just this eyesore for the many years, and I understand the frustrations of the developer over the years. So whatever we can do to kind of come up with a happy compromise between what you're asking for and kind of the comments from here, again, I'm still willing to let staff come up with some happy compromise of that. Okay. Any other comments from the commission?
Chairman Mann, I would suggest we probably could try to move this project forward, so there may be a couple of suggestions staff could recommend to maybe get an agreement on, perhaps eliminating the stamped concrete only in the center driveway area. Neil, if you could pull up the stamped exhibit.
There you go.
May require eliminate the center stamped area in the center of the project, and perhaps eliminate a third of the stamped concrete on the 2 entryways for the stamped. And then as far as the stone veneer, if there is any on the trash enclosure, maybe suggest to not allow that. Then you could decide how much stone veneer you want to see here, and we could condition that to the city council to move that part forward. From a staff opinion, the raised planters on the garage doors is kind of hard to construct, and it could be a water damage. Putting them in the ground is probably easier. The stamp material inside the private patios, those are really not visible, so that regular concrete would have been fine with staff. I would defer back to you if you think that's appropriate. And those are, other than the landscaping changes being proposed, those are the items kind of on the table tonight. So you may be able to come up with a recommendation with a condition.
So to be clear, all those are the private patios, right? All that? Those right there, what we're talking about, all that is stamped concrete now? Those are
Yeah, there's some enclosed patios.
Yeah, those are the
which
patios,
are
right?
kind of
Correct.
Yeah, so.
gated to the front door entry, so it's kind of a private area.
So again, I mean, this can be made much smaller. I'm okay with that. Just leave a little ribbon there and over here. There you go. The rest of the stuff, to be honest, there and everything in between, I would be fine with it going back to concrete, because nobody's going to see it. It's their own private little patios. And of course, I will defer if Commissioner Tolson would like to see the facade stay. The veneer, I think we can come up with some kind of happy compromise. If we can eliminate all the concrete, maybe we can still do that part of it. But I would say that I think staff and the developer can work out something to accommodate kind of the thoughts of what the commission would like to see.
And the planter box, the planters
Yes.
versus on the wall.
Yeah. On the ground is more than
I'm
more
fine
than
with the
fine.
planters. I would like the stone to stay.
Okay.
I would like to see that.
I would go with the stone stain, remove the rest of the concrete, except leave, again, a little ribbon of sorts against the street.
The question is whether staff understands what we've just talked and said.
I don't know.
We could objectify it, just require 10 feet of stamped concrete at the 2 entryways, 10 feet depth.
What is the depth there now? Do we know? 25? Yeah. So I think 10 feet is more than enough to get what I would like to see, just a little rich entryway going into
Perfect.
the development.
Agreed.
And we're trying to work.
And the other, if your other recommendation would be to not accept the stone veneer eliminations, that would be the other
Correct.
motion, then we could keep the rest of the recommendation as presented. Just those 2 changes,
Right.
that's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay. You agree, Counselor?
That's what I heard too.
Okay. Are there any further comments or questions from members of the Planning Commission? Okay. May I please have a reading of the resolution?
Resolution number SVPC 11-2024. A resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Simi Valley recommending the City Council approve a Plan Development Permit Modification PD-S-2024-0004 and tentative map TT-2024-0002 in order to modify the Plan Development Permit to revise the building elevations and site improvements, a tentative tract map to subdivide the site into 16 townhome units, and request to eliminate the previously approved affordable housing incentives located at 5496 East Los Angeles Avenue, and a determination that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act.
Do we need to put in as amended?
As amended.
As amended? Okay.
I move to adopt a resolution recommending approval of PD-S-2024-0004 and TT-2024-002, and the determination that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act as amended.
Motion was made by Commissioner Tolson. Even though I didn't have my little say, the chair will now entertain a motion.
Sorry,
That's okay, you
sorry.
jumped ahead of me.
I was ready to go.
Motion is made by Commissioner Tolson. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Mayer. Call for the vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
There is no appeal period for the plan development permit and tentative track map, and the items will proceed to the City Council with the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Fantastic job, Mr. Morissette.
Congratulations. I look forward to seeing this project completed. Oral communications report. Does staff have anything to report?
No, Chairman Mann, I just advise you that the next tentatively scheduled hearing is September 18th.
Do any commissioners have anything to report? Mobile Home Rent Mediation Board,
There's no items tonight.
Tree Advisory Board.
No items tonight.
This concludes the meeting of September 4th. The next scheduled meeting will be on September 18th. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good.